The Turkish-backed Free Syrian Army has taken 4 more villages from Daesh as they move closer to the town of Al-Bab in northern Syria. Now, these fighters are reportedly around 12 kilometers from the Daesh stronghold. Al-Bab is the largest town in Aleppo's countryside and has been controlled by the terror group since 2014. Turkey's military is conducting Operation Euphrates Shield to clear Turkey's border region of Daesh and the YPG, which Turkey considers the Syrian branch of the PKK. Meanwhile, Russia has demanded more proof after a report linked the Syrian regime to the use of chemical weapons in at least 3 incidents. All 3 attacks were carried out in 2015.
We believe that the proof is not there for any big punitive action to be taken. It's simply not there. Let's continue the discussion. We'll continue, studying the report. Please read the remarks I made, and they are very, very serious technical remarks, which bring to light certain weaknesses. Let's face it, in the work of Jim. We highly appreciate their attitude to the task they were given. They were given an extremely difficult task to investigate things which happened 2 years ago without even visiting the sites.
UN Secretary-General Ban Ki-moon says he's appalled by an airstrike on a school in Syria that killed 22 children. Ban Ki-moon says the attack in Idlib on Wednesday may amount to a war crime if it was conducted deliberately. Russia says there's no evidence airstrikes were carried out at the site, while the UN is demanding an investigation.
The Secretary-General calls for immediate and impartial investigation of this and other similar attacks against civilians in Syria. If such horrific acts persist despite global outrage, it is largely because their authors, whether in corridors of power or insurgent redoubts, do not fear justice. They must be proved wrong.
Well, let's go live now to Moscow, where the foreign ministers of Russia, Iran and Syria are holding talks on the ongoing conflict in Syria. Both Iran and Russia provide crucial financial and military support to the Assad regime. Well, TRT World's Kevin Ozebek joins us now live from Moscow. Kevin, good to see you there. What is expected to come from this meeting then?
Well, Paul, as Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov hosts his counterparts from Syria and Iran, they of course are expected to focus on the ongoing situation in Syria. That involves not only the war, but also the humanitarian crisis. And this really has been a bloody and brutal month in Syria. The UN is very concerned, especially over that apparent bombing of a school that you mentioned on Wednesday. Now, the death toll, according to the Syrian Observancy for Human Rights, says the death toll is continuing to climb there. They say at least 20 children were killed in that attack, but the Russian Defense Force says it flew a drone over that school, and the building, the roof, appears to still be intact. So Russia is denying that school was even attacked. It says the video coming from Idlib province, where that school was located, appears to be doctored. Of course, the UN in the West disputes that. Now, also, it's very possible that they could be talking during this trilateral meeting about a convoy of Russian warships that it's believed by NATO is heading to the Syrian coast. This group of vessels is being led by a Russian aircraft carrier and then its surrounding fleet. That's a very worrying move by NATO. And also, Russia has been getting a lot of criticism for sending that fleet into the Mediterranean.
Well, you mentioned NATO there and the tensions between NATO and Russia. Is that likely to be addressed, do you think, at this particular meeting?
Well, it could be, because we are seeing a sharp escalation in tensions between NATO and Russia. NATO is preparing to send about 4,000 troops along its eastern flank. Russia is countering that by sending additional warships into the Baltic. Now, NATO says it's not sending these troops to provoke Russia or try to increase the chances of there being a conflict, even though this is the largest NATO buildup since the Cold War. NATO says it is simply countering Russia's moves. But NATO is pointing out that the channel of communication between Brussels and Moscow is still open, and that NATO would like to hold a meeting with Russia soon to make sure that the channels of communication stay open so there's not any further escalation. But nonetheless, very tense times between Russia and the West right now.
Okay, Kevin, thank you.